On this episode of Elite Access, we had a chance to sit down with Olympic champ and 5-time Olympic medalist speed skater, Chad Hedrick. Now, while he made quite the impression on the Olympic arena, he revolutionized the world of inline skating before his Olympic quest even began. In his inline career, he won 93 national titles and 50 world championships. And because he's so awesome, Chad got a brand of inline skating wheels named after him. During our conversation, Chad shares with us the importance of setting goals, the vast difference between his 2 Olympic experiences, and the value of doing things a little different from the rest of the world. Chad Hedrick, welcome to Elite Access. We're so excited and honored to have you on here with us.
Yeah, thanks. I'm glad to be here.
Okay, so I'm just going to get right to it. After training on ice for less than a year, you won like the world all-around speed skating competition, kind of incredible. You became the first man in history to skate the 10,000 meters in less than 13 minutes. How does that happen? Tell us a little bit about your career as an inline skater first growing up, and then how you made that transition.
Yeah, well, my life started at a real young age. Just after I learned how to walk, I picked up skates. My parents owned a roller rink here in Houston.
Nice.
And basically learned how to walk on a pair of roller skates. So I figured out very early in life that it was second nature for me to be a skater. And,
your poor mother must have been chasing you all around the place.
Yeah, you know, instead of hiring a babysitter, they kept me at the rink and sort of had me on lockdown. So
smart.
Yeah.
You got all the energy, right?
That's so 6 to 8 hours a day of skating all growing up. I guess there was no choice but to be pretty good.
That's awesome. So, I mean, is it something you loved too the whole time, or did you ever have times where you're like, I've been doing this my whole life, I just don't want to do it?
You know, I remember going to competitions, and I remember training and practicing when kids had normal lives, and the sacrifice that I put into what I did. I remember just never feeling like it was a burden or never feeling like it was hard work, and that I always strived to be the best that I could be and had like a long-term vision and what I wanted to accomplish in life.
From the beginning, that's great.
Yeah, so you know, a lot of kids, I think it takes a long time. For example, you know, you're graduating high school and you don't know where you're going to go in life when you go to college. But I think in my case, and maybe most other successful athletes' cases, I found real early that I was going to focus on skating and be the best that I could be.
Well, I guess to say when you love what you do, you never work a day in your life, right?
Yeah, you know, I was very, very blessed to have had the experiences traveling across the world and being able to just meet so many people and do what I love. So it was great.
Awesome. Okay, now the other day when we were talking on the phone, we talked about goal setting, and that's a big thing for you. You seem very passionate about wanting to teach others how to set goals. Well, I wanted to ask you about a very lofty goal you set for yourself before the 2006 Olympics. You proclaimed that you were going to equal Eric Heiden's record of 5 gold medals in 1 games.
Yeah, you know, the media had put a lot of that on me because I was the only one that competed in all 5 events.
Okay.
So that was sort of put in my lap, but I accepted.
So did they ask you that and you say, yeah, okay, or was it kind of more you wanted to do that and then it became a big thing?
Of course I wanted to do it. I never came out and said that this was what I was going to do. I think the media had mentioned it and said that, hey, I may have the chance to do it. And, you know, at times I really believe that I could have, and that would have been a wonderful feat to accomplish, especially in modern times when there's sprinters and long distance skaters that train different. And back in the day, there were skaters that trained specifically for long distance and then some that trained for sprint races. But back in the 80s, everybody did every race, so it was a lot different. So for me to accomplish that goal would have been tremendous.
That's really cool. So, okay, when you have such a lofty goal like that, does that help motivate you, or does it do the opposite and put so much pressure on you kind of melt under it? I
think, you know, different athletes have to approach things differently. Of course, I was very confident. I grew up on skates my whole life, and I knew deep down inside what I could accomplish. But I think there's other different personalities that really have to play it down a little bit and just go out there and focus and do the things in preparation that they need to do and let everything take care of themselves. But for me, I wanted the pressure on me. That's
you like that. You rise to the occasion.
You know, it's like Michael Jordan. You know, 5 seconds left in the game, he wants the ball in his hands, and you know what? That's what I trained for every day. I trained for that special moment and being able to capitalize when it happened. So that pressure didn't affect me.
So do you think that helped you get 3 medals in the 2006 games? Which was, you were only the 3rd guy in history to do that, right? To get 3 medals in 1 Winter Games.
Yeah, it was definitely a contributor to that. But at the end of the day, those high expectations that were set for myself, I left there with 3 medals, which anybody else would have been happy with. But I left and sort of felt like I was an underachiever, believe it or not. But I had high standards set for myself, and you know, it was great and a great learning experience. But man, I wish I could go back and do it again.
You love that adrenaline, right? So, okay, there was also a little drama in 2006 during your medal quest when Shawnee Davis decided not to participate in the men's team pursuit. He instead wanted to focus on a shot at gold in his best event, which he did get gold. Don't really want to talk about the drama so much, but I'm curious about how that affected you mentally, because goals they're great and important, but when your goals ride on somebody else, like a team pursuit, you know, somebody else participating or not participating, and that affects you.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? How did that take you in or out of that situation, and how can you maybe prepare going into an event with unknowns like that when things can happen?
Well, I don't think anything's changed because of that event and my approach towards accomplishing, you know, winning more medals. I don't think anything changed. I was there as part of Team USA, and I was proud to be part of Team USA. And you know what? I think everybody on my team should have felt that way. But you know, I was just there to do my best, and you know, I approach every race, whether there's an event like that or not. I approach every race the same, and that's to go out and show people that I've worked hard and I'm able to go out there and compete at that level.
Awesome, very cool. Let's see. All right, so after 2006, you got the 3 medals, which was amazing, but you said maybe a little disappointing because you had such high expectations. I know you took some time off, you contemplated being done. What did you go through? Was there kind of like a little down period? Because I know in my Olympic experience, whether I did well or not, there's still kind of a letdown because it's this thing you build up for so long and you dream of, and it's happened. So then what do you do next?
Yeah, you know, after accomplishing the ultimate dream, right. You know, the thing we wake up each and every day and thinking about standing on that podium with our hand over our heart and looking at our flag and making our country proud. After you accomplish that, you know, to go back and do it again is in a way, I looked at it as if I couldn't top that feeling again. And so I took a lot of time off and I celebrated a lot, did a lot of traveling, and really got to a point where I'd had to decide whether I was going to go back and do it again because I had won my medal at 28 years old, and 32 years old may have been a little too old to try to...
Is that on the upper side of your...
Yeah, you know, in different sports and gymnastics,
right.
Everybody's young, and you know, speed skating, you probably want to be about 25 to 30 years old.
So you were already kind of at the end of the...
Yeah, so I had to really contemplate, hey, is this really worth going after again? And I took some time off and ultimately decided I was going to come back and do it again, but it was a long road up to the top because as you know, everybody's out there training every day, thinking about their sport every minute of every day, and if you take some time off,
they get that bitch farther ahead, right?
You got some ground to catch, there's no doubt.
Right. Whew. So I also read that some coaches were trying to change when you came back. They were trying to kind of change the way you trained and the way you skated. How did that affect you?
Yeah.
I mean, was that a good thing or a bad thing?
Well, it's very interesting. I look back and I had some great people that coached me, some knowledgeable people in that world. Some successful people, but they did it a different way than I did. And I got convinced to really take on the technique and the training philosophies that your typical speed skater uses. And looking back, I really regret it because what I brought coming from inline skating and having quick success, like you said, within a year or two, becoming world champion and being favored to win a gold medal, a lot of the things that I was doing previously obviously were working, and I was slowly brainwashed, if you will, to change my ways. And you know what? I never really felt like I got back up to my top level again because I had lost the base, the stamina, and the mentality that I started with when I began ice speed skating.
Right. But something changed, right? When Derek Parra, is it Parra or Pira?
Yeah, Derek Parra.
Derek Parra, yeah, when he became head coach, and that's somebody you had seen win the Olympic Games in 2002, right? And kind of made you want to make that switch from inline to ice, right?
Yeah, so after all these transitions, I finally, at the end, started working with Derek, and he became my coach before Vancouver. And we quickly saw a lot of improvements. But, with that being said, I still, all the groundwork that I'd put in before 2006 winning gold, I didn't do that for 2010. And as much work as we did trying to get everything back in order, it was still a big challenge. But Derek did a really good job, and he brought the best out in me and understood my strengths. And I think that's really important for athletes when they have a coach, or when they're just figuring out who they are as an athlete, really knowing what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, so you can work on those daily and try to figure out how you can perform your best.
So it's pretty important for the coach-athlete relationship to be able to communicate that and figure that out, what works best for each athlete.
Yeah, I think coaches have to be brutally honest at times to let you know. You can be friends with them, but at the same time, they have to tell you straight up.
And you have to be willing to accept that too, right? To be coachable.
Yeah, and sometimes there's some friction because, in order to be the best in the world at anything, you have to have a certain mentality, and we've grown up and we've won consistently up until that point to get to the Olympics. So there's some interesting personalities that come along with that.
So, okay, between the two Olympic Games, you had a lot going on. Not only did you take some time off, but you also got married to your sweet wife, Lindsay. You had your first daughter, Hadley. I mean, that's just a lot just for any normal person, not to mention an athlete training for the Olympic Games. What kind of adjustment was that?
Of course, starting a family as you're training, and I had to move to a different city to train to be in the Olympics. I was in Utah, and very different climate than here in Houston. So all those changes, I thought were going to have a bigger impact in a negative manner than they really did. And actually, having a family and having a wife that was very supportive and understanding that they were depending on me to go out there and be my best, and just the support that I had helped me in times when I was struggling and I was coming back and trying to climb that mountain to get back to the top. Because after the 2006 Olympics, after I took that time off, it took a while, and there were many competitions where my name wasn't at the top of the scoreboard. And
not used to that, huh?
I wasn't used to it, and it was very hard to swallow. So I was very thankful that they were there for me.
So, I mean, you're like 50-time world champion inline skater as well as 5-time Olympic medalist. How often do you lose? And is that a motivating factor? Or do you get beat up by it? Like, how does that work?
The funny thing is I grew up, if I played a sport with friends, or we played sports with our family, for example, went bowling with my family. If my dad were to beat me, we probably wouldn't talk for a week. And that's how I was raised. It's good and it's bad. I'm a sore loser at times.
So you get that from your dad? Is that?
But the desire to win is greater than most people I've met in my life. And I think that's a big part of why I was successful. And I'm not saying you need to be a sore loser, but I'm saying you have to, in order to be the best at something, I really think that you have to not take pride in what you're doing, but understand the time that you put into it and what you've sacrificed. And you just have to understand that, man, you have to have this desire to win that's greater than anyone else's. And I think all the people that you see on TV that are the best in the world at what they do, I think that's one common thing to have.
Yeah, you got to want it. Yeah. That's for sure. Well, I love something you said here in an article. See, I was stalking you and doing my due diligence and my research. But you said, God gave me this talent and the drive to go out and be the best I could be. And I did it without ever acknowledging him or ever thanking him once. I thought I was the happiest when I was winning races and going out afterward. And then I had to find myself as a person and learn that it wasn't how fast I skated or what place I got. That speed skating was what I did. It wasn't who I was. So yeah. I know not only... I mean, you had such just a phenomenal change from 2006 to 2010 in your personal life, in your relationship with God. I mean, how did that perspective how did you approach 2010 differently in your mind than you did 2006?
Well, in 2006, it was me against the world. I had this label of 5 gold medals for the Olympics and, just all this pressure, trained my whole life for this. Felt like this first race at the Olympics was, the next 6 minutes is going to define me as a person, And I think this sport became my idol. It was something that defined me. I had no purpose in life. My purpose was to win a race and to prove that to everybody that I was the fastest skater in the world. And you know what? At the end of the day, that doesn't count much. And all those gold medals are eventually going to fade, and real life is gonna be there afterwards. So I'm so thankful that I found Christ in this process, and the transformation has been just incredible. I can honestly say that in this process, skating and winning and really having so much success, I really thought that I could conquer the world by myself, and I never really thought about other people. All I thought about was the next race, winning and having the chance to show everybody that I was the best. That's what it was always about. And I think in 2010 it was just I was a family man. I knew what it was like to care for other people and to understand feelings of others, and it was crazy. So it was definitely a great experience for me, and I think everybody around me, my teammates, everybody really saw a big difference, and I was thankful for that.
That's awesome. And it didn't make you any less competitive, right? Because you still went out and won 2 medals in Vancouver, which is fantastic, especially after all the time off training and trying to make that comeback. I think a lot of times people think, you start putting others first, you start, wanting to praise God with what you're doing. They look at it as a crutch or you get soft, but you were still competitive. You were still one of the best in the world. You still came back with 2 medals, and that's fantastic.
I felt like when I left in 2006 that I took the glory from God. He gave me the talent that I had to do all the things that I did. And he put me on a pedestal in front of millions and millions of people. And never once did I appreciate the talent that he gave me. So whether I won, lost, or got hurt before the event, people were going to know who the real Chad was in 2010, and that's exactly what I did. And I honestly left with a silver medal and a bronze medal. If I would have done that in 2006, I would have kicked a hole in the wall.
Yeah.
But you know what? I left knowing that was the road for me, and that life was going to be good no matter what color of medal it was.
Awesome. Okay, I also saw that you have an inline speed skating academy coming up in Las Vegas. That's pretty cool. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I've been sort of out of the sport of inline skating for a long time. It's sort of a grassroots program, but there's many countries that are involved, and I'm sort of excited to be a part of it again. It fell short of the Olympics in '96, and it's my first love. So I reached out, and the response has been unbelievable. I'm going to be going to Vegas in February to teach a couple hundred kids, and they're coming from all over South America. Awesome. And then I'll be going to Holland and Belgium in May next year, Ecuador, Costa Rica. I've got all these countries that are wanting to bring me out to teach them, and it's sort of cool because they're really, really excited knowing that the success that I had before, that I can teach that. But I think they're most excited because everybody thought I just walked away from the sport and wasn't going to come back again. So I'm really excited not only to teach the sport, but about the story that we just discussed. I'm really excited about teaching people what sports can do for you personally and teach you as a person to build character, to build integrity and all those things. And I want to share my story to let them know how my success and my failures and hard times, mountains and valleys type moments have molded me as a person, and I hope they can see that in me.
That's very cool. Love it. Now, okay, so when you finished in 2010, have you been back to the rink at all? Either rink, the ice rink or the skating rink?
Actually, since 2010, I've had skates on 3 times, and once was at my dad's roller rink, and then I think I went skating twice just to go get some exercise.
You haven't taken your daughters yet?
Actually, they have
3 and 5 now. You went skates at 2.
They have their own skates, and they don't like to skate, and I'm completely fine with that because I've spent 1 or 2 too many hours there at the rink over the past 20 years or so.
I love it. I love it. Okay, so what did you do this year when the Olympics came? Did you watch it all? Did you not even know it was on? Like, was that weird not being at the games?
It's so strange. I know you know the feeling, and it's strange because you start to think what place you could have got if you wouldn't have quit,
Right.
and how comparing their times to what you've done in the past, and I honestly, it was really weird.
Yeah.
It was really weird. I cheered for the team, but at the end of the day, it was a very strange feeling and left me for the first time in 3 or 4 years. Left me missing skating. I really didn't think about skating until the Olympics came on, and then knowing everybody and how you've done against them in the past, it was just really strange.
Yeah, I know that. I'm not a fan of being on the deck. I'd rather be in the pool, so I totally understand that. Okay, so I have a totally random question, because you did skating your whole life from basically birth until just recently. So what would you do if you could do any other sport?
What would I do if I could do any other sport?
Yeah.
I grew up, believe it or not, my best friend at 4 years old moved from Canada. I played hockey growing up.
Yeah.
I played hockey here in Houston when there was only 2 ice rinks in the whole city. We used to drive 45 minutes back when there wasn't any traffic here in Houston. Used to drive 45 minutes to the other side of town. And I played on a team at times out of Dallas and flew to Dallas twice a week.
Really?
On Wednesdays and Saturdays in elementary school. My dad was very committed to me playing a lot of hockey, and we played a very high level. And all my friends that I played with ended up playing college hockey. And there was a time where I had to pick whether I was going to go and skate or play hockey, and I chose skating. And all my other friends had some success playing hockey, and one specific person came to watch me in Vancouver, and it was a cool feeling to validate that I'd made the right decision.
All right, Chad, so is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you'd like to share with our audience?
I have a big heart for helping children really find a passion, a purpose in life, and just helping them really understand what their potential is. A lot of kids these days, I think, are just going through the motions and never really find something that they truly love. And I think life has so much to offer. So if you guys just get out there and really understand what you love, what you're good at, and really just chase your goals. Make lofty goals for yourself. At the least, you're going to be really good at what you do, or you're going to learn a lot in the process. You're going to become a better person. You're going to find out so much about yourself that you thought you thought may have been different. And just real life experiences post sports, I think, by just having a path to follow and really just going through all these steps in life is so crucial in success.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Chad, so much. Great having you on.
Yeah, thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of Elite Access, and don't forget, you can gain an even greater advantage by answering the questions that go along with this episode and checking out all the extra resources.